All right, one more time. I know we've got some new people coming in. Anybody that wants to speak needs to sign up. All right, I'm showing it as 7:01, so we'll call our meeting to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Dixon, would you start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first thing, we will open our hearing on collective bargaining. So my understanding purpose of this hearing is essentially just to allow anyone that wants to comment on things that should be addressed in the future contract with the teachers, or any feedback along those lines. The floor is open for that purpose. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on that topic? All right, if not, we'll have the minutes reflect that the public hearing was open and closed with no comment. Next is the approval of the agenda. The agenda has been circulated in your packets. It's on the screen. Any modifications we need to make to the agenda before we get started?
It's good to me.
All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to approval of the minutes. So the minutes of our July 10th monthly meeting, the August 3rd executive session, and the August 3rd special meeting to address the sale of the former funeral home have been circulated. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the 3 listed meetings as prepared signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes will stand approved. All right. Next, we're going to open the floor for public comment. It can be on any topic. I think most of you are here based on the boys basketball position. So I'm going to give you some information that I think may be helpful as we move into public comment. So I'm going to cover a couple things. I'm going to cover the board's position and what's going to happen tonight and moving forward. And then I'm going to cover the structure and how public comment is handled. Some of you may not be aware of that. So we want to make sure you understand our current policy, and then we'll take public comment. The only thing that we are addressing tonight is to accept Coach Klein's resignation as a teacher here at Blue River Valley. As the only thing on the personnel report. We will not be hiring a new basketball coach tonight, boys or girls. So that is not an issue. Every coaching contract is a year-to-year situation. So essentially the season's over, so that contract is over, and then people come back. And obviously Coach Klein's been at Blue River Valley for 17 years. But as that coaching contract is not directly tied to the teaching contract. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to state what I think our general position is as a board, and I'm just one voice, and I'm going to ask them when I'm done to make sure that I've appropriately captured what our thinking is right now. So I think as a board, we think it would be ideal to have a teacher-coach combination in the building. Boys basketball is primary sport, revenue sport. It gives a lot of identity to our school. To have a teacher-coach combination in the building builds on those relationships. Many of you are here tonight in support of Brian Klein because of the relationships that he was able to build as a teacher and a coach here at Blue River Valley. Those didn't all just happen on the court. They happened in the classroom, they happened in the lunchroom, they happened in the hallways. There is value in that. And, you know, I talked to Coach Klein this weekend, and he acknowledges that. You know, obviously he still wants to coach, but there is value in having those positions connected and having someone in the building that can check up on the players. Are they here? Are they feeling well? Are they doing what they need to do in class? All those things. There is value in that. And from a board, that's something that we think is important. So another factor in that is that we believe we can attract, you know, better candidates if those two positions are offered together. And that's, I think, what we're going to try to do, to hire that combination, because, you know, at least as I was growing up, and I don't think it's changed a whole lot, you know, if you're looking for coaches, if you're looking at PE, you're looking at social studies, there are obviously exceptions. It can be any type of position, and it can be a lay coach. But that's what you're going to get, the biggest, you know, pool of applicants if you can offer those things together. So we think that that is important. I did tell you, I spoke with Coach Klein Saturday, and I think there's just been a lot of misconception about what was going to happen tonight. That, you know, we were going to hire somebody that, you know, we're trying to do something sneaky. And that bothers me, to be honest. I don't think we've ever been a sneaky board. But I just think there was a lot of misconception, and I don't know how best to communicate what we're trying to accomplish other than doing what I'm doing right now. And that's our thought process. And you know, when I talked with Brian, and to his credit, he did nothing that, you know, I wouldn't have probably done myself. I mean, we were on the phone, and he argued why he's the best option. And at the end of the day, he might be. You know, if we can't find the right person, that's not off the table. But that's, you know, he was competing and talking to me on the phone, and my son told me, and I won't forget this, he said, nobody loves Blue River Valley more than Coach Brian Klein. So that's not why we're here. It's not about whether or not, you know, Coach loves Blue River Valley, or he's a good person or a good coach. It's just what we have to do as a board to look forward. So we are still evaluating candidates. Committee has had some interviews. We're working through that process. And if we don't have a strong candidate, I would say by our next regularly scheduled meeting, then, you know, we may look at a lay coach option. And then Brian Klein would certainly be, you know, one of the top folks in that. But, you know, we have to look long term. And again, it's not whether he's a good person or a good coach. He is. He is. Okay? That's not the issue. And so as we open the floor for public comment, you are welcome to say any good things that you want to say about Coach Brian Klein. We'll probably nod our heads politely. You don't have to convince any of us on the board that he's a good person or a good coach. Our job is to look forward and to make sure that we do the right thing for Blue River Valley, and that's what we're trying to do. And that's why we're, you know, kind of leaning the way we're leaning, I think. We think that's the best plan long term, is to have somebody in this building all day long that's going to build those relationships. It's hard for the people that are still here if you're playing for him right now. And if, you know, things go that different direction, it'll be hard. But, you know, if you're 4th, 5th, 6th grade kids, you know, they're going to come up here and hopefully have a coach that's going to be here as long as Brian was. And that's kind of the plan, and that's the vision. So, again, you are welcome to come up and express general support, but it's really not going to help us make the decision. I think our decision is, you know, do we try to find that combination, or do we go with a coach from outside the school system? So I guess with that, I'll turn it over to the board. Does that accurately summarize our position?
Very well said.
Yes, sir.
So that's our general thought process. So as we open the floor for public comment, our public comment policy is posted on our website. Let me count how many we have here. Okay, we have 10 speakers. So we'll meet we typically cap it at 30 minutes, but each individual speaker is allotted up to 2 minutes to speak. So we'll have time, so everybody can take a full 2 minutes if you like. I will keep the time on my phone. I will indicate to you when you have 1 minute left. And you know, we'll take everybody that wants to speak that is signed up. Like I said, you are welcome to say whatever you want, not just on the coaching topic, but as long as it's relevant to school business, you're welcome to speak to the board. We may or may not engage in any discussion or questions. We may just thank you and that'll be it. It's not a time necessarily to get into a heated debate. It's just not gonna happen, hopefully at any board meeting that I preside over, but it's not gonna happen tonight. There's really no, again, there's nothing on our agenda tonight that, you know, directly related to the coaching position, so. I don't think we'll have this issue, but obviously if anyone, you know, if there's personal attacks, if there are things that go beyond normal decorum, we can ask you to stop and we can ask you to leave. I don't think that's gonna be necessary, but I wanna open the floor and let everybody be heard that wants to be heard. With that, the first person that has signed up to speak is John Hart.
I'm John. Just okay to stand here. I'm the outsider from Newcastle. I just don't know Coach Klein for many years. My questions are this: are there any other lay coaches in the system now?
Yes, several.
There are. Okay.
Yes.
In hiring someone new, is it when you have someone looking for a teaching position that is open, will the consideration be who is the best teacher for that position in accordance with or in conjunction with being a coach? I know a lot of times the positions, you could have an excellent person coming in that would be your first choice as a teacher. If they're not a boys basketball coach, will that have a bearing on that decision? The other thing I would say is, if this is a transition year, with this situation being a little unique or whatever, it might be best said to have him at least continue this year while, and especially at such short notice where workouts are going on, et cetera, that you would have this and then going forward to next year, maybe address this issue also.
Those are all options. Anybody from the board have any comment? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Brewer took my list. Did you take my list? I gotta get, you put it back here?
I put it over here and someone else signed on it. That would be my fault.
No, no problem. All right, Mr. Blackburn.
I'm Joe Blackburn, for those who don't know, but I just reiterate what he said already. I think, you know, you want to do some reevaluating on your coaches that are lay right now, if you're going to do the same thing with the boys basketball coach. That's just what I want to say about that. The other question I have is completely off topic of what we're asking right at the moment, but I was wondering what the thinking was on not paying for early college anymore and changing that over to having the students and parents take care of that.
So with that, I think all the other school systems in the county were charging their parents.
That's not correct. That's only Shenandoah is the only one that's doing that. Everybody else is still paying for early college.
So I think I can defer you to probably Ms. Dickerson and Ms. Whaley to answer some of those specific questions about some of that process and thought process, but that was part of it. Plus, we want to be able to offer those things in-house and keep the kind of our kids that, you know, we had, I think, nearly half of our seniors and maybe that many juniors were leaving to go to Ivy Tech.
So are you guys adding the college credit too as well to that?
Yes, that's the process, yes.
Okay, so any classes that they take that they could have taken at Ivy Tech will be college credit?
We're trying to replace those and make those available
Okay.
here so the kids don't have to leave and we keep those kids connected in the school.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to know. I couldn't get any answer from that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hold on, Joey. Just to clarify, you said your understanding is only Shenandoah?
That was my understanding. Only
The only
Shenandoah was
one-
the only other college or school in the county that was not
So
paying.
Tri-High,
for college.
Nicetown, Newcastle, your understanding is they
That's
pay?
my understanding, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but that is my understanding.
Yeah, that's different than what we were told, so I'm something to look into.
That's not accurate.
I'm sorry?
His assumption is not accurate.
Okay, like I said, something to look into.
All right, next, is it Kathy?
No.
Okay,
Do you mind if I don't stand? I have Raynaud's disease in my feet.
no, that's fine.
The only thing I wanted to ask is this. In my understanding of things,
but more so as a parent. Yes, as you said, these boys have built a relationship with this particular coach. He has gone into these classrooms when these boys have been failing. He has been a role model. Coach Klein, I don't accept your resignation. Even when my son wasn't playing basketball for him, when things fell through for us, this man went out of his way to help my son when his father's on the road driving truck and there was no male role model. His values mean so much to so many of these boys and the parents. I would ask, if you're still going to continue to look for a coach, as some of these other gentlemen have suggested, don't forget about the relationships that these boys have had with this man. Let him stay on and help build the respect for the incoming person. Bridge the gap. That's pretty much all I can offer.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is it Aaron Kraus?
I'm Aaron Kraus. My son Rylands played for Coach Klein. He just played as a freshman last year, but I can say that as soon as he found out that he was leaving, he didn't want to play basketball anymore. So I'm just here to show my support for all these boys, for Coach Klein, for Joey, for everybody else. I don't know how this works, but are you allowed to tell us who's applied for this? Or who you guys are considering? Or is there teachers here you're considering to put in that position? Are you allowed to tell us any names, or is that a big secret? I don't know how it works.
So we can't, and here's why. I mean, there are legal reasons, but it's simply, I mean, if a teacher at another school is interviewing for a job, and then, you know, we find out and we tell you that, and nothing's final, then if that, you know, that school punishes him in some way, or her in some way. So we've got to keep those things confidential. Those are employment matters, and we have to keep confidential until we would make an offer and get things worked out. So we can't talk about who's applied or who hasn't.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Andrew Froge.
I'm Andrew Froge. I mean, you guys probably know me, maybe not. But I don't know, you talk about like building relationships with someone. Like, I mean, I went to school half day my junior, senior year. I mean, my relationship with Coach Klein was definitely on the court or in the locker room or at practice. I mean, I think that's when you build a relationship with a coach. Like, I've never built a relationship with any other coach in the classroom, which I didn't have in class. But I mean, I still talk to him to this day a lot and stuff on the phone. I mean, I feel like that's building a relationship and stuff. I mean, won 3 out of the 4 last sectionals. Like, I don't know what you guys are expecting here, honestly.
Okay. All right, thank you. April Howlett?
Can I ask a question before I start speaking?
Sure.
What positions are open to review? Like, we were talking about gym, PE, and social studies. What positions are open right now?
Well, I don't know, I was using those as examples
Okay.
of key, you know, what I perceive in my own mind as being attractive and
Right.
more likely to hire coaches in.
So it's my understanding that there's just an elementary PE position that's supposed to occur right now. And that person would not be in this building at this point in time either. That's one of my concerns as a parent. But secondarily, I have a very unique perspective on hiring coaches within a school because of my ex-husband. And I watched a school that is in our own conference hire someone who let go of a coach that was just fine, hired another coach, who then recruited people from the Virgin Islands and looked horrible to all the surrounding schools. And so when you're looking for a coach to fit all those things and you force someone into those positions, it sometimes puts you into particular situations like Middle Southern Lutheran. Also, Cambridge City Lincoln has a coach who is not an employee in their building and does a great job with the relationships within his team as well. So I want to mention that they're in our sectional. But I just really want you guys to think about the fact that there have been schools in our own conference who have tried to do what you guys are trying to do, and they failed miserably and look really bad to all of us parents and the surrounding communities. I also have 2 little boys back there. that are only involved in school activities because of Brian Klein, and they have told me that they will not be participating in the activities if Brian Klein is not coaching. And I'm not saying that as a threat, but I'm just telling you they would not be a part of school activities. They will not be if you know that those relationships that they have built do not continue. And that really makes me sad as a parent, because they thrive in the environment that he has created at practice, at the games, on the bus, in all of those situations. He's even created amazing environments within my own home, hosting breakfasts and supporting our kids. And I just cannot tell you how much that means to me as a parent. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Wyatt Thornburg?
I played for Coach Klein for 4 years, and he won't find a better coach. But I would like to ask, why is the girls' basketball position not tied with the teaching job as well? Just the boys.
Well, I didn't mean to imply that it always has to be, but I think we prefer that where we can find good candidates to have those folks in the building, teacher and coach combinations. Can it be a lay coach? Yes, but we're trying to explore whatever options we can to keep that job in-house so that, again, a lot of those relationships, you know, Coach Klein worked in the lunchroom, did all those things. That's what we're trying to replicate if we can.
Aren't most of our other coaches lay coaches though?
They are, and in a school Blue River size, we can't expect to have every coaching position be in-house. I mean, your mom's a lay coach. So, you know, I understand that. It's just, that's the preference right now, is to try to do that. I mean, if you have those coaches in the building, watching their players, talking to those people, talking to their teachers every day, I think that's a better situation. But it may or may not be where we end up.
Thank you.
Brian Klein.
This might be hard for me. First off, I'd like to thank these people for coming in, but thank you guys. Nothing but respect for the 5 board members that we have here. I've raised my family here. I know how much you care about this. I'll never question that. I can do that. But I just have a couple questions, and I know Mr. Madison knows, because I spoke with him on the phone. But I hear about relationships, and you have no doubt that I'm a good coach. At the end of May, I was told I was not a good coach. That was my fault. We did not win the state championship, and the expectation would be anything less than a state championship experience getting to the game. I would not do that. Secondly, I agree with the relationships wholeheartedly, 100%. So I question why the decision was made to take my teaching position out of the building and move it to the elementary. Those are my only two, and I'm not necessarily looking for you to answer them, but those are things in my mind that based on what things were said tonight, that I pondered. And as Mr. Probst did mention, I feel like our program's been very good, if not the best in the year. We won more sectionals in my tenure than anyone else in the same time frame. Only 12 schools in the entire state of Indiana have won 3 out of the last 4. There's 400 schools in Indiana. So I'm not a math major, but I think that equates to less than 3% that we've accomplished. I'm very proud of not only the games we've won, championships we've won, but the people that we've built that have went on and done great things in their communities. And as I told Mr. Madison on the phone, I'm willing for this, if given the opportunity, this can be 1 year or 20 years. You know, relationships can be made and built if you want it to be made and built. If I'm still in charge of running the basketball program, I'm still attending all junior high activities, games, working concessions, meeting all those people. There's multiple avenues of relationships outside of the school walls. But again, I just want to thank the board, the school. There's there's not a better school system in the state of Indiana, in my opinion. I raised my children here. Love to see my grandchildren raised here, so again, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Clinton Turley?
I'm Clinton Turley, and I think if you're gonna try and find a new basketball coach, then I'm not gonna speak for everyone like on the team because it's my last year, and I'd like for him to be there too also. But anyways, I'm not gonna speak for anyone, but I am. If you're gonna try to find a new basketball coach, it's gonna you're also gonna have to find new basketball players. So I just don't think we went all this way. You should do it at the end of the season, not in the middle, till all the basketball and summer workouts. That's all I basically got.
All right, thank you. Jared Lawrence?
So I'm Jared Lawrence, and so I played for a coach 12 years ago now. And I just wanted to kind of bring perspective on me 12 years later, just looking back over the years and everything. I think we can all agree, hey, we all agree he's been a great coach. And all the kids love him. And I remember when we were there, he encouraged us, after practice, he would stay after, we'd get the gym open, we'd do shooting competitions, he made it fun, competitive, was always open for that. And the on-court stuff is important, but to me, like you guys said, the off-court stuff is very important as well. And right when me and my buddy, we went to played at college, and Coach Klein, he would keep in contact, go to our games, see how things are going with that. And not only that, to this day, still 12 years later, and me and there's a lot of other players, they even play with me. Coach still keeps in contact with us, he texts us, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we'll get texts, hey, hope your family's doing well, Merry Christmas, hey, hope your family's doing well, Happy Thanksgiving. So to me, that's such an important thing, that relationship keeps it, and so I appreciate that.
All right, thank you. All right. Ms. Brewer?
Just a couple of things that came to mind while people were prefacing this. You guys mentioned that tonight's meeting isn't about his job, but yet it is. You've already said that you're in the process of looking for someone else, that you're actively searching and interviewing, so this meeting is about his job. It's our only time to advocate for him, so I don't like how that was phrased towards us. Secondly, his schedule, he would have been at the elementary, all but one period. So the school corporation personally had him outside of the building all day to begin with. He wouldn't have been in the high school with any of the players anyway, and that was a school decision, not his. So that contradicts what you're saying needs to be done right now. He wouldn't have been around those students all day if he would have been coaching had he not resigned as a teacher. So you are okay with him not being in the building and still coaching because that's the schedule that they gave him, okay? I did ECA contracts here. When I taught here, I also did do ECA contracts at the school that I'm at right now. They continue until, they're separate from teaching contracts, that's true. They continue until you resign from that position or you're fired from that position because they're not linked to the teaching contract. He did not resign from that position. He was not notified that he was fired, yet the position was posted. I don't agree with that. I find it very unethical and very underhanded, which does not set a good tone. And I know that I probably won't get an explanation as to why that happened, but to my knowledge, he still is the coach, and he should continue being the coach because that is what the school set forth. Everything that you said wasn't going to happen did.
Joel Gibson?
Everybody pretty much covered everything I wanted to say, except for biggest thing, if I was on the board, the biggest thing I'd want to know is how did we lose such a teacher that had a coach that had such an impact on so many, and there's so many more that couldn't make it. to me, as a person that loves Blue River Valley, it's what scares me to death is who are we gonna replace somebody that's so good to all these people, somebody 12 years after school has such an impact on him. I think the pressure's on if we're gonna try to replace that. And I hope we can do it, but it scares me to death as a father of two who loves this school. And I would like to know what we need to do to keep teachers like Mr. Klein, not lose them and then root them out. That's all I gotta say. Everybody else pretty much covered the rest of it.
All right, that's the last name on the list. I mean, I want to be as open and transparent as we can. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? All right, if not, then we'll close the public comment section and move on with our meeting. If you guys want to stay, you can. If you want to slip out, you can. Whatever your preference is. The next item on the agenda is board president's comments. I'll be brief, just sounds like we got off to a good start with school, and I want to thank everybody that was involved. We had a expanded presence at the Moreland Fair this year. Food building, we had a booth, active in the parade. Obviously, band and fine arts active with their normal things, so appreciate everyone being involved with those things. So, with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. McCormick.
Just to reiterate what Mr. Madison said, great start to the school year, which was a reflection of all the hard work this summer put in by a lot of people. I also want to thank the administrative team, board members, and staff that participated in the financial retreat at Stiefel on July 31st. That was very beneficial for our team. And I want to lastly thank everyone who volunteered at the Moreland Fair last week. We put in over 100 volunteer hours from that perspective. We didn't get any money. It was not a fundraiser for our scope of work. So started school and put in 100 volunteer hours in various capacities at the Moreland Fair. So those are all my comments. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move on to board actions, our standard resolutions. First, we will consider Resolution 2023-8-1, the July financial report, which is in your packet. Are there questions or concerns on that report?
Just have one, and you don't have to, you can email me the answer, but I don't want to put you on the spot. But I know we usually run a negative balance in the federally reimbursed funds like the Title I. But we've got one in the school, the common school, a negative balance. So just kind of curious what that was. But like I said, if you don't have it tonight, just email it to me.
It's similar to this.
Is it similar?
We need to submit reimbursement requests.
And with the rain, I can't hear a thing you're
I
saying.
couldn't hear
And I have a total inability to read lips. So.
We have to submit reimbursement requests
Okay.
on it as well.
So it's similar to reimbursed, okay. As it does.
All right. Any other questions? Is there a motion with regard to Resolution 2023-8-1?
I make a motion, we accept resolution 2023-8-1.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2023-8-1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is 2023-7-1, amended financials for June. Questions or concerns on that?
I make a motion we accept resolution 2023-7-1. Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of resolution 2023-7-1 as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is claims report, 2023-8-2.
Make a motion, we accept 2023-8-2 as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anything else before we vote?
Kim, again, I like this because it's spelled out for us. This is, thank you.
those in favor of 2023-8-2 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is the personnel report, 2023-8-3. And I'll read through the items on the personnel report. Resignation, extracurricular, Zachary Barktle as athletic coordinator, effective July 1st. Hiring non-certified staff member Peyton Z's, is that how you say that? Special education paraprofessional, effective August 10th. Resignation of certified staff member Brian Klein, PE teacher, River Valley Schools, effective July 24th. Resignation of certified staff member Sarah Griffin, agricultural educator and assistant FFA advisor, effective July 27th. Hiring of certified staff member Megan Arnold, temporary reading interventionist teacher, effective August 8th. Promotion, non-certified staff member Abby Hamilton, lead custodian, effective 9/1. Hiring a non-certified staff member Chloe Rosenbaum, full-time substitute, effective August 10th. Hiring non-certified staff member Frank Lacey, route bus driver, effective August 10th. And maternity leave certified staff member Katrina Rains, third grade teacher, effective October 16th. Questions or concerns on resolution 2023-8-3?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-8-3. Second.
Motion is second. Anything else before we vote? All those in favor of adopting resolution 2023-8-3, the August 14th personnel report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the 2023-8-3 EC, which is the extracurricular hires for the fall. I guess I'll zip through those as well. Hiring extracurricular, Sonia Thornburg, varsity volleyball coach, effective July 1st. Abby Thornburg, varsity volleyball assistant coach, effective July 1st. Alyssa Grogan, junior varsity volleyball coach, effective July 1st. Annie Kuntz, 8th grade volleyball coach, effective July 1st. Brianna Brown, 7th grade volleyball coach, effective July 1st. Caleb Coffin, varsity cross country assistant coach, effective July 1st. Terry Wallen, junior high cross country coach, effective July 1st. And John Mock, varsity girls golf, effective July 1st. Questions or concerns, resolution 2023-8-3 EC?
I move we accept resolution 2023-8-3 EC.
Second.
Motion is second. Anything else before we vote? If not, all those in favor of 2023-E-3 EC as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the monthly transfer from education operations, resolution 2023-8-4. This month it is being recommended by our treasurer to transfer $52,464.10 from education operations to cover the month of July. Is there a motion with regard to that resolution?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Anything else? If not, all those in favor of resolution 2023-8-4 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any old business we need to cover? All right, if not, we'll move on. Approval of our student transfer report, which is in your packet. As you might imagine, with the start of school, it is quite lengthy. Looks like 78 students, 19 being new to BRV, and then a handful of denials. Is there a motion with regard to the transfer request list?
I move we approve the student transfer lists as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Anything else? All those in favor of accepting the transfer request list as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next is the acceptance of the GEO donation. GEO, as they do periodically, has made a generous donation. This time it is in the amount of $6,000. We just need a motion to accept that, which always seems silly to me, but we always have to do it. So.
I make a motion to approve the donation from the GEO Group.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, where's it gonna go? Just general fund or your
It
market?
stays at the high school. It's donated to the junior, senior high school, so it stays in their accounts.
Okay. That's it, John.
motion is second. Any other discussion? So let's proceed to vote. All those in favor of accepting the $6,000 donation from Geo Group signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, donation to high school girls volleyball. Saw that email in here. Donation, anonymous donor to assist the girls volleyball team to purchase a new iPad. So is there a motion to accept the anonymous $800 donation?
I make a motion that we accept the anonymous donation for the volleyball team.
Second.
Motion is second. Anything else? All those in favor of accepting the donation to the girls volleyball team signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next is the teacher appreciation grant, policy 3171, which is originally adopted back in 2017. If you look up the top, and gets renewed annually. Anything need to be said from Mrs. Riley or Mr. McCormick on that?
It's just something we have to do, update each year, make public.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the teacher appreciation grant?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is the approval of authorization to sign agreements. And there were some questions via email about this. I'll give my best shot, and then if anybody else can add anything, please do. But this is done, I think, annually or at least periodically to allow someone in-house to act on behalf of the board for any placements, children that are in need of special services, IEP or residential placement. It allows Trent to essentially sign on behalf of the board. So we have to have that on record so that his signature is essentially our signature. So, any other questions, or anybody else want to add anything that makes that any more clear than I did? Which is certainly entirely possible.
Stephanie explained it to me,
Okay.
so.
All right. All right. Is there a motion to approve the authorization to sign agreements?
I move we accept the authorization to sign agreements for alternative and private residential school placements.
Second.
Motion is second. Anything else before we vote? If not, all those in favor of approving the authorization to sign agreements signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is approval of resolution 2023-8-5. You see that we are providing a stipend to is it Lee or Leah? Lee Stevenson, teacher employed by Blue River Valley School Corporation, supplemental payment of $9,000 that would be applied to her base salary. So we'll take those one at a time. So that's resolution 2023-8-5.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2023-8-5.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of adopting resolution 2023-8-5 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next, a similar resolution. This is 2023-8-6. We're asking for authorization to pay a supplemental payment in the sum of $4,450 to Inez Caballero Royo. How'd I do? Pretty good. So, new Spanish teacher, that would be added, applied to her base salary.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to approve resolution 2023-8-6.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution will stand approved. And next we'll do second reading of policies.
Second reading of policies, H-150, public records. H-175, questioning of students. H-200, relationship with special interest groups. H-225, public comments and concerns.
All right, that is the second reading of those policies, so they are eligible for passage. Is there a motion to adopt these four policies as presented on second reading?
I move we approve as policy those 4 that have been read as our second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anything else before we vote? All those in favor of adopting the 4 listed policies on second reading, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those 4 policies will stand approved and be published to our website. Is there any other business that we need to address this evening? And if not, we'll call the meeting closed